And so before we move on to the approval process, hiring to kind of, again, demonstrate where you could find some of the training resources, because we were real quick describing what's being collected. If you're not familiar with the data collection elements, Kyron could demonstrate where you find out how to find instruction on those specific data collections. And this is a great opportunity as you're answering questions. If you've attended a Q&A, Kyron can drive. And if he fails, we always have Alex here. She's great at driving. And if she fails, we have Alex's backup, Gary, here now. He can drive. All you need to know is I won't be driving. So Kyron, at any time.
Okay. Okay, so Nate hinted on the different training resources you could take advantage or refer to in terms of data collection. So this training is just more on the reports and certification process, error resolution. But then if you're new to CalPAS and you're wondering, the rules and how to do data population of each of those file types, we have specific training videos for that prepared for each file type. So if you can go directly to our CalPADS YouTube channel, you can just search CC's CalPADS training, and it brings you to our YouTube channel. This is our YouTube channel, and we encourage you subscribe. That way you will be notified if there are new updates, new videos posted to this channel. Normally we get updates, weekly updates regarding the Q&A, so you could be notified of new Q&A recordings posted. But leading to Nate's statement, here are some end of year data population training that we've created as a playlist. So some, not all of them are in this playlist, but essentially you can look at if you're doing end of year 1, 2, 3, then these are some of the trainings you could look for. So we have here students with disabilities data population. So okay, let me just go here and do incident. Could also do a search using this search tool here, and you should be able to have the student incident data population. So here's the actual playlist. So it provides you the
Welcome.
different business rules, system functionalities, and the different requirements for each field. So Nate does a great job laying out all of this information. So that's for student discipline. Now for STAS, I do believe we have a STAS, so you just have to search STAS here, and that should come up. And then what else, Nate? RFEP. So for RFEPs, you could look for SILA, and it should bring up the SILA data population. So all of these are within a few keyword search in our YouTube channel. And for RFEP, I did see a question regarding RFEP. RFEP isn't transmitted by TOMS. This is self-reporting. TOMS only will transmit EL and IFEP data to CalPADS. Any other data is self-reported by the LEA. It's not just based on online testing. There are different steps or processes or other alternative processes that could determine a student to be reclassified. So that's why it's not directly taken from TOMS. And CC channel, what else did you want me to show them, Nate?
There's the NPS.
Oh, the NPS, yeah. So in the NPS one, if you just type NPS here, it gives you the student discipline for non-public schools training. This is in 2019, but all of the information here is still relevant. The emphasis here is how to transmit information between NPS and LEAs. You collect the data in the NPS, and it's the emphasis here is how to communicate between the two of you, between the two entities, and how to transmit these records in a secure manner. So
and the dates aren't significant, Mary.
yeah.
Some trainings are updated, some aren't. We've debated internally about taking these dates off. I'm in favor of removing the
Yeah,
year. I
because it
think the year is
throws
only
them off.
significant in those trainings that have been updated and they're historical. So like Kyron's showing the NPS, that's the only training we have. There are no plans to change it. It's a resource that, so you don't have to necessarily explain everything to your NPS school. You can send them the link, and if they need further details on what they need to provide you, you give it to them. However, the reporting and certification are updated every year. And so if it says 1920, that's last year, it's not going to be updated with this year. It probably will be archived when we replace it with this year's recording. But again, if you have completed fall 2 in March and you have March and April to prepare for end of year, while we're preparing for changes for this year, a lot of that information is the same, right? So that's why we have 19 and 20 up there, but those will be replaced.
And so part of that discipline and the NPS training was a PowerPoint and worksheet. I'm not sure if this worksheet is is in the CalPAS end of year primer or roadmap. If you scroll to the end of year 3 section, there is the PowerPoint presentation used on that video, and also a spreadsheet that lays out the different columns that NPS need to populate and send out to their corresponding LAs.
And so there's a question. So Doug, as I think he's just trying to prompt us. Overall, for file types, is there a document that identifies which files are full replacement files?
Yes, it's over here. If you go again to the end of year 3, there's the link there about reminders, about file upload processing. So if you click on that, it brings up the file upload process, and you have your replacement processing type for each file type, and the actual operational key used for, let's say, if you it's a replacement processing. So it's
What
here,
document are we looking at right now, Kyron?
the CalPAS user manual under report mapping, end of year roadmap, under what files to submit for end of year 3. There's a link here that you could click on file upload processing method, which then leads you to this. So it lists the different transaction that processing type that each file employs. So for those new to CalPAS, replacement processing means if a record for a school is reported in CalPAS, you see you have 100 records and you submit a new file for the same school, then if the file has the same incident local ID, school of attendance, academic year ID, all 3 elements in the operational key is the same, it will overwrite that record. And so that's the reason why Doug was prompting us to highlight the processing methods for each file type, because we don't want you erasing 1,000 incident records or 100 incident records close to the deadline because you forgot to submit one record. So, yeah.
And so then we have just 2 more questions before break. Maria asks, are we just reporting RFEPs? And Maria, your question was easy. The answer is yes. For those who don't understand it, in fall 1, we collect any students' English learner status or English language acquisition status, whether they're English learner, English only, IFEP, RFEP, what have you. We're just counting the RFEPs in end of year 3. There's no significance of your other statuses. And then,
Hey, Nate, I beg to disagree.
okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
You're
We
right,
have
actually.
we have
You
Adele.
caught me.
You guys are forgetting Adele. Adele is back. So if there's a student who is 22 years old or older at this point in the academic year, then you're forced to update your
Well, and
STIGA records too.
also I said there's no significant in the other statuses. So that's a lie, because the English learners are always a subgroup. And when you're reporting your 1-year grad counts and eventually the cohort information, those subgroups do matter. So here I am lying to you. I told you I don't do it on purpose. It just happens every training.
No,
And
actually, you invite discussion. That's
oh yeah, that's
yeah,
what I'm gonna say. I wasn't lying.
yep,
I was inviting
yeah,
discussion.
yep.
And then the last question, Kyron, it was a CERT 128 question from Diana. And it reads, I have 25 students who are reporting a fatal CERT 128 error. I believe that's missing status record. I believe these students all students who were due to return to our school at the beginning of the school year, but either were no-shows or moved to another district prior to the first day of school. What is suggested resolution? So Diana, this is the type of question that we would prefer in the ticket. One, because I'd like to be descriptive and answer your question as precisely as possible, but also because I don't want to confuse someone else as this is how to resolve CERT 128. For your instance, however, these students were either no-shows, just update the enrollment status with no-show, and you will no longer be required to submit the status, or they moved to another district prior to the first day of school, which again would be a no-show if they carried over from last year. If they were enrolled the previous year, you could just delete the enrollment that you created. They never showed up. So they were never here. However, if this was like an initial kindergarten student, you can't delete that enrollment record. If it's the only one there, you have to use the no-show. If you need a better description, you can submit a service request with the SSID. We can explain it. And for those of you listening, not Diana, there's a video for CERT 128, I think. If it's not, send the email to Marshall because he's sitting on it and didn't release it.
I can hear you, Nate. I can hear you.
You hear the buzz?
It's there.
Okay, so Mary has a question, but we'll wait to answer that during our certification.
Yeah, I did put that link to the CERT 0128 for Nate, just to prove him wrong.
Okay. Okay.